If everything's ready here on the dark side of the moon, play the 5 tones.
Book 1, Genesis, Chapter 1, In the Beginning, Part 2. We Are Not Alone by Chuck Rose. The failed Mars observer's 450 million mile journey to the red planet left science frustrated in its search for signs of life in our solar system, even though overwhelming evidence of alien intelligent life exists right here on Earth, according to one U.S. scholar. An historian of antiquities, Dr. Patrick Searle's fears for his personal safety force him to use a pseudonym when speaking on the subject of extraterrestrials for the public prints. His 17-year study of ancient civilizations has led him to one conclusion: we are not alone. However, Searle laments, because the power structure governing our economic and political fortunes would become utterly destabilized by such a revelation, this universal truth remains a closely guarded secret. Searle sympathized with former National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientist Richard Hoagland's conspiracy cries after radio contact with the $980 million Mars observer was inexplicably lost 3 days before its scheduled Mars orbital insertion. But Searle is quick to point out accusations of religious right influence at the nation's space agency preventing new photographs of possible artificial structures on Mars revealed by the 1976 Viking probe is only one possible scenario for a cover-up designed to maintain our spiritual status quo. To Searle, the reality of a cover-up could have even graver implications for mankind. It could be that there are direct influences by extraterrestrials upon our government, he says. Searle's unconventional contentions are based on a belief in the authenticity of literary evidence created throughout history that suggests the presence of an alien intelligence. He particularly points to the story etched on clay tablets unearthed by modern-day archaeologists in 1849. Buried alongside the remains of the ancient Sumerian civilization, these tablets chronicle mankind's origins in an incredible tale most researchers consider a work of mere science fiction. Searle believes the overpowering daily survival concerns of the oldest known civilization would have left little time for typical Sumerians to pen dime-store novels, especially epic narratives inscribed on tablets weighing in excess of 50 pounds. According to these Middle Eastern texts, a race of beings identified as Anunnaki arrived on Earth 475,000 years ago for mining purposes. Nothing spooky, mystical, or magical, offers Searle. They came here looking for gold, silver, platinum, copper, and tin, the major metals for starting any type of heavy industrialization. A shortage of these resources on the Anunnaki's home planet of Nibiru led to their colonization of Earth, the tablets say. However, disgruntlement in the ranks over living conditions eventually erupted into a rebellion against the colony's leadership. To quell this insurrection, the Anunnaki crossbred themselves with the African biped Homo erectus, thereby producing a slave labor race. Our lineal ancestors, says Searle, noting the recorded date of this event coincides with the dawn of Neanderthal man. Neanderthal man was the first species to carry the name Homo sapiens, Searle says, and he literally came out of nowhere. The description of the Anunnaki in the Sumerian text stretches credulity to its breaking point, a major reason why modern scientists are reluctant to lend any credence to the ancient account. Similar to humans in every way except for size, the texts portray the Anunnaki as 15-foot tall giants with lifespans of 500,000 years. As fantastic as that sounds, Searle claims such longevity violates no physical laws of the universe. They, the Anunnaki, would have had superiorly redundant DNA within the cells of their bodies and within the mitochondria of their cells, Searle says, referring to the agent that controls aging in all living things. He further believes such incredible longevity to be a hereditary trait partially passed on to Neanderthal man after the Anunnaki mated with their slave force due to the scarcity of females on their expeditionary mission. Under this scenario, Searle claims a transmission of longevity would account for the tremendous ages achieved by characters in biblical lore with the reality of the event documented in the 6th chapter of Genesis, 6:2, that the sons of God, read Anunnaki, saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them wives of all which they chose. 6:4, there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. Searle maintains the offspring of the Neanderthal-Anunnaki union produced Cro-Magnon man, effectively debunking the modern scientific belief an undiscovered missing link species bridges the gap between Neanderthal and Cro-Magnon. Later, Cro-Magnon man would come to resemble the Anunnaki in thought, behavior, and appearance. And with this transition came a pesky yearning for independence and freedom from servitude. The Anunnaki would find themselves divided over complications birthed by their creation. One faction considered us nothing more than beasts of burden, and the other harbored a deep sense of responsibility towards these newly sentient creatures, producing an eternal political impasse resulting in numerous ancient wars and pouring the foundation for Anunnaki battles waged over us to this very day. Searle believes the Earth Wars climaxed in 2000 BC after a global nuclear holocaust preceded the Anunnaki's abandonment of our planet. The Sumerian texts speak of an Anunnaki spaceport in the Sinai Desert, a location Searle insists still bears the scar of a nuclear blast, as satellite photographs today show the Sinai marked by a huge black blemish in stark contrast to the surrounding terrain of white limestone and basalt rock. Further, recent background radiation readings indicate trace elements of nuclear fission still remain in the area. The Sinai is burned black. To this day, nothing grows there. Nothing, says Searle. Searle describes the Anunnaki's current Earth reign as tentative, while they monitor our development through laboratory-bred creatures and flying machines, UFOs. His assumptions are based on the incongruity of descriptions sworn by witnesses claiming close encounters with extraterrestrials. They're about 4 feet tall with large heads and 4 fingers on each hand and no prehensile thumb, Searle says, adding the absence of opposable thumbs would render any species incapable of building anything, particularly high-tech spacecraft. They have the brains to understand the vehicle, but don't have the hands to build them. This keeps the Anunnaki very hidden from our leaders. When a UFO crashes, we don't find giants at the controls. We're finding these little guys instead. Searle cites the Roswell, New Mexico crash landing of a supposed UFO to reinforce his views. The aftermath of that 1947 incident was witnessed by several civilians prior to the military intervention and subsequent cover-up. Additionally, a deathbed confession by the government secretary handling the autopsy paperwork on the Roswell aliens revealed the corpses possessed no reproductive organs. This sexless condition leads Searle to conclude they must have been biologically engineered in a laboratory, since they could not reproduce themselves. They have brains large enough to know when to push the right buttons and who to report back to, reasons Searle. If they're captured, they're ordered to say they're from some faraway star system, and they're here to help. Some of the strongest evidence of past alien intervention in human affairs is our very existence, according to the academician. Our evolution from wild beast of the field to technologically advanced species over 500,000 years is unequaled in nature, according to Searle. Evolution just doesn't work that rapidly, he explains. That's too quick of a quantum leap. I don't care what the paleontologists say about sporadic evolutionary jumps. The archaeological record shows that, until man came along, nature did not work that way. The dinosaurs lived almost 200 million years on this planet, and not a single one became a thinking being capable of abstract reasoning. Yet in less than 1,000,000 years, humans have achieved a level of sophistication with literally godlike powers. We had to have had help, he said. Searle believes scientists currently charging NASA with a conspiracy to hide new photographs of possible artificial structures on Mars aren't asking enough questions. Even Hoagland is unable to explain why NASA would admit they botched a nearly $1 billion mission, other than offering a hazy picture of a world run amok with religious culture shock due to the sudden loss of security the promise of everlasting life brings to many. To Searle, whether the anomalies on Mars are the remains of an ancient Anunnaki mining operation or wind-eroded outcroppings of rock is irrelevant. More to the point is, why is NASA not using the Viking photos to its benefit? Scientists at the Stanford Research Institute have determined the Viking photographs appear to show anomalies of artificial origin on Mars. Yet NASA continues to stonewall by claiming it simply can't possibly be what it looks like. Denying the existence of something because you think it unlikely is bad science. NASA is missing the biggest opportunity in their history to get unlimited funding for exploring Mars by claiming there's a real possibility there are remains of an ancient civilization on the red planet. It would logically be in their best interest to milk this for all they can. I'm talking about a full-scale investigation of the surface of Mars, including manned landings there. This would be the perfect way to raise the public interest, approval, and funding to get that mission off the ground. But they are not doing this. Why? Questions Searle. Searle's personal opinion is the Anunnaki's grasp is today still felt across the vast gulf of space. Bent on keeping mankind marooned on Earth, Searle says politically powerful agents of the Anunnaki are knowingly or unwittingly thwarting mankind from fulfilling his destiny by playing devil's advocate for their giant masters as they sabotage our space efforts and manufacture strife on Earth. Students hearing Searle's vision of mankind's early history leave the lecture hall with feelings ranging from total astonishment to abject disbelief. Searle is unfazed by his critics and shrugs off charges he is preaching crackpot science fiction. I know it sounds crazy and nobody likes to talk about it, but the proof is there and it's irrefutable, he says. I'm sorry to spoil the party, but if you add up all the evidence, it doesn't equal God. Whether or not his theories are the universal truth may never be known, Searle admits. Until man sets foot on Mars, the soil-scooping robotic arms of America's space probes are indeed only scratching the surface of the mysteries of the universe.